doesn't matter what network I'm watching, they talk about being what you said. You better be up, on the right side of the wind because of the bathing or lack thereof. Everybody talks about it. It's the one topic that gets.
That's the only thing that unifies them.
Let me bring in Dan Gaynor now. He's a vice president for business and culture at the Media Research Center. And Dan, I know you've got some thoughts as to what is happening out there and what the mindset and what the the underlying messages might be that we should pay attention to.
Well, I just wrote a nice piece for FoxNews.com, and they're smelly, they're disorganized. If you read their declaration of principles, they pretty much attack everything under the sun. They're upset about everything. They're upset about how we get food. They're upset about companies. They're upset about climate change and death penalty. And of course, you can even find the free Mumia people roaming around the crowd. But it's not just that. They do tap into it. It's a basic problem. We've had getting close to 3 years of Obamanomics, and it's been an abomination. And they are feeling it, but their solution is wrong. Their solution is more government.
That's what they're talking about, I know. But at the same time, as you point out, they may be frustrated by what's the outcome and the results of what's happened under this White House. But they are extremely loyal to the president. We've seen lots of interviews with many of these individuals who are standing by the president and really saying that it's the capitalists, so-called capitalists, the big business people, the millionaires and billionaires who are causing the big problems and not making it easy for the average guy in this country. And that's why they're out there to show how frustrated they are. And I don't know. This is part of this class warfare again. Comes into center stage, into the spotlight with something like this. With this,
yeah. This is class warfare, French style, and I mean French style going back to the guillotines. You've got idiot former comedian Roseanne Barr out there actually saying that the bankers should only be allowed $100 million. If they've got more than that and they don't give it up, they should either be sent to re-education camps or sent to the guillotine.
Meanwhile, someone like Roseanne Barr made a great deal of money when she had her television show for many seasons on ABC, and these other celebrities that have shown up there, who have been making millions off their movies, like Susan Sarandon. So I find it very interesting that these people will come out and condemn the people who are the job creators and the so-called capitalists, and yet they are the ones also who have enjoyed the fruits of this capitalistic society.
Yeah, I got into a Twitter debate on Saturday, and I'll give him credit. Mark Ruffalo, who's in the new Avengers movie, and he's been an actor in several movies. I like the stuff he's been in, but he's claiming to be one of the 99%. And I'm like, I don't know what his math is, but his math is different than mine. When you work in Hollywood and you earn Hollywood salaries, Roseanne Barr was earning $20 million a year at the end of her show. And she's talking about how much money people make.
Has anybody pressed her about this point?
Of course not.
Yeah.
Because she would just slough it off. This is the gathering, the hardcore of this movement, and now they're going to fill in union people around it. But the hardcore of this movement is filled with socialists, anarchists, really, seriously hardcore lefties, but they do scratch at the surface, and they're right. There's a lot of pain in this country about long-term unemployment. But it's hard to find sympathy for people who are $100,000 in debt because of student loans. How did they figure they'd ever pay for that?
Todd, jump in for a second and tell me what you wanted to bounce a point off of Dan here.
2 points, Dan, and one of those was justified in the New York Post today. There was a young lady interviewed. She was worried about having to eat rice and beans. And this young woman was identified as a graduate student at Columbia University. Well, I went online and checked out the tuition at Columbia University for a graduate student, nearly $89,000 a year. Wow. So she can afford $89,000 a year in tuition, and yet they're worried about having to eat rice and beans. The other big issue, though, is the union component. We remember last year when unions here in New York State actually went to the homes of bankers and protested protested on their lawns, frightening children in their homes. And if the union is going to get involved, if they're going to start backing this movement, what's going to happen? Are we going to see are we going to see this escalate into something more than just shouting and hollering and blocking the Brooklyn Bridge?
But I don't think there is a movement. I don't think there's a hard core of the movement. It's a lot of people who have nothing to do. I mean, that is the risk of high unemployment, is eventually you have people in the streets because they don't have a job, they have nothing to do.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they're watching revolutions.
Let me jump in
exactly
for a second. We got to let Dan go in just a few seconds here, but give me your final thought on this. You think it's going to have a long, got legs for some time? These people, they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, well, the point is, a lot of them don't have anything else to do, and they aren't going to go anywhere soon. And the more they get media and more get attention and support, they're going to stay. The conservative movement disregards it at its own peril.
Gotcha. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I want to just ask you really quickly here, though. We say they have nothing to do. There may be some people in there who feel a lack of connection, a lack of something. They're so frustrated that they don't know where else to go. So they're just gathering with these other people, saying maybe they find some common ground, so that they can feel that they've got some sense of control. Where people who've been losing jobs and who've been feeling helpless and restless that they can't get work, that they are saying, okay, I'm not alone. I've got other people out here that I can, commiserate with.
But I think you raise a valid point, though. We're talking about 1,000 people in New York City, and I just want to compare what's happening there, the protests there, to last March, the National Right to Life March. 250,000 people protesting and marching in Washington, D.C. Absolutely no national media coverage.
Right.
And yet the national media is providing wall-to-wall coverage of 1,000 people that are protesting and not bathing in Lower Manhattan.
This protest was a made-for-TV event. It's a protest. It's on Wall Street. It's at the right time. It's in New York City. And
yeah,
now
it's easy
spreading.
to cover, frankly.
You know what?
Sure.
All my life, I've tried to make it, as a PR practitioner, make it easy for the cameras.
Yeah.
You show up where the cameras already are anyway. They're already on Wall Street. So they're going to continue to get coverage.
There you go.